Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here, and thanks so much for joining me today. In today's video, we are going to be creating 3 cards, and I'm going to be using the stitch tags on the card designs. So these are the new birthday patterns, and if you're not familiar, we have a cross-stitch tag die. It looks just like this, and it cuts out both the tag as well as the hole detail in the center to be able to do some actual cross-stitching on your paper projects. We currently have a bunch of different PDF patterns that you can download and print for a variety of different occasions that can be used with your tag. So we take all the guesswork out of it for you. The pattern's already created and it fits perfectly on the tag. And these are our newest birthday patterns. So we have a birthday cake, a present, some cupcakes, there's candles, there's some birthday words as well as birthday balloons. So I will link to that in the description below so you can easily print and download those. And I'm just going to show how I created 3 different cards where I have a tag that can actually be removed from the card. So I've already stitched 3 different tags here. I have the birthday cake, one of the cupcakes, and the present. And I've used similar colors with all 3 tags so they kind of match. And I've stitched these onto tags that I've cut from white cardstock. And I want to turn these into cards, but I also want to keep the tag removable so that the recipient can reuse the tag since we put so much work into doing all of the stitching. So before I start to assemble the cards, I want to give the tags a finished look. And what I like to do is I like to take the same tag die that I've already die cut with the cross stitch holes, but this time I die cut just the solid part. So I actually have 2 versions of this die. I have one that has the hole detail still in the center, and then I also have one that I've cut apart so that I can use the solid tag as well. I like to use the same color of cardstock for the back of the tag that I used for the front where I did the stitching. And I just used a strong adhesive like score tape to add that onto the tag. There is quite a bit of thread there on the back, so you want to make sure you have a really nice strong adhesive that's going to hold that in place. And what that's going to do is give us a nice finished look from the front, and it's also going to give us somewhere on the back of the tag to be able to write a message. So now that we have all 3 of the tags ready, I went ahead and cut out all of the pieces we're going to need to assemble the card. So I have 3 different bows that I've cut from the Blueprints 26 Die-namics out of pink, purple, and aqua cardstock. I also have 3 pieces of pattern paper. I have sentiments that I've chosen from the gift card greetings and the more essential sentiments stamp sets, and we're going to use those to stamp our sentiments onto those banners. And then I also have some white card bases. So to start off, the first thing we want to do is stamp all of the sentiments onto the banner. So I decided to do this kind of assembly line. I did all of the stamping of the banners at once, and then we'll start to create all of the cards. I picked 3 different birthday themed sentiments, and I'm just stamping those onto the banners with black licorice dye ink. And now I'm going to start to assemble the first card. So I have the aqua pattern paper here. This is from the Graphic Grid Pastels paper pad, and I've trimmed it down so we have a bit of a border showing around it. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the tag onto the card front, and we're going to adhere the sentiment banner over top. But we're only going to add the adhesive to the 2 ends of the banner. We're not going to adhere it directly onto the tag. And you just want to make sure that the adhesive that you're using on the ends has some dimension but is still relatively thin. So I'm using thin 3D foam squares to do this because it's just going to give me enough dimension to be able to slide my tag in, but it's not going to be too dimensional that it's going to slide completely out. So what I'm doing is I'm lining the sentiment strip on the front of the tag, and I'm adding the adhesive directly onto both sides of where that tag would line up. So you can see now when I kind of hold it in place and push that tag through, there's enough space for me to fit the tag, but it's still nice and snug, so it's going to hold it in place. So now that I have the dimensional adhesive on each end of that sentiment strip, I'm just going to line up the tag on my card front, making sure I have it positioned exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to put that sentiment strip over top, and we can adhere this directly onto the card base. Now with that grid pattern paper in place, it makes it really quick and easy for me to be able to line this up and make sure that it's completely straight across the card front. And I'm just making sure to center it from each side. And then once I'm happy with the placement of it, I'm just going to press down firmly to make sure it's adhered. And now we have the sentiment strip on the card front that is going to allow us to tuck our tag underneath of it, but it's snug enough that the tag isn't going to fall out. With the stitching on the front of the tag as well as the thin foam adhesive that we used, it's just enough space to be able to slide that in, but not to have it slide right through. And then the last thing we need to do to finish our card is just add the little cardstock bow that we've die cut. So I'm putting some matte multi-medium on the back of the pink one, and I'm just going to attach this to the top of the tag. And that just gives us a little bit of detail up there since we don't have a lot going on, but it still leaves it relatively plain, just so that if the recipient decides to reuse the tag on a gift, which is why we want to have it removable from the card, they can kind of dress it up or add ribbon to it as well. So now that we have the little bow adhered to the tag, we can go ahead and add it back into the card by sliding it underneath of that sentiment strip. And like I showed before, it's going to stay nice and secure in there because we have very thin adhesive and the stitching on the front of the tag. So now we have both a card as well as a gift. The recipient can keep the entire thing intact if they choose, or they can remove that tag to use it as a decorative element or to give it to someone else on another gift. So I'm just going to repeat the same process now with the other two tags. So I'm creating a card with a pink background with the birthday cake and the make a wish or two sentiment. And then I'm going to use the purple background with the cupcake and the happiest of birthday sentiment. I also added the little cardstock bows that we had die cut to the top of these tags, and I used a different color tag for each of the different pattern paper backgrounds. So now that we have that done, we have a trio of birthday cards that we've created, and all three of them have removable tags that the recipient can keep as a keepsake or can reuse on another gift. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy the new birthday patterns for our cross-stitch tag, and we can't wait to see what you guys create with them. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in another video soon.